actions would definitely be to hire people. However, good talent, as we all know, is not easy to come by, especially for a new company. Getting the word out to the right people could be part of the solution, and that's where StartUpJobs comes in. Created by Ben Chu, an angel investor and entrepreneur, StartUpJobs is basically a portal for startups. And it gives people an idea of what the startup is all about so that they might be tempted to apply for a job at the startup. But what are the unique human resources challenges that startups face, and how can these be overcome? Joining me this morning is founder of StartUpJobs. He is Ben Chu. Good morning, Ben.
Hi, good morning.
Now, Ben, why did you set up StartUpJobs?
Well, I have been soaked into the startup ecosystem primarily in Singapore for the past 6 months, and generally I love every moment of it. I get myself soaked, meeting interesting and awesome people, and I start to love what I'm experiencing compared to what I actually been doing in my own business.
You were in HR. You have been in HR for more than 10 years now.
Yeah, I run a recruitment company for the coming 13 years this March, and I see that but however I comes into the startup ecosystem more of the initially was an angle of an angel investor. I was inspired by exit story like Hungry Go Where, where I thought that there would be opportunity for angel investing to look into alternative investment rather than those assets driven investment that I have done.
Hungry Go Where, by the way, is that food blog, right? That was recently bought over for a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, I heard about them, sold for 10 or 12 mil. And it sort of actually inspired me to come into actually angel investing into the startup world. But however, as I get to know more about more people, soak myself and experience what I've actually seen over the last 6 months, I really love every moment. I met interesting, nice, good people. And then one fine day, in fact, I was actually triggered and inspired by someone who actually sort of I visualize that as boxing right in my face to say that Ben, perhaps right from your background you should do something to actually help contribute to the ecosystem. I couldn't figure out what exactly was how I can help based on my background, coming from a recruiter background. So it took me a couple of days to realize that what I could do. I should say is that not to actually engage with startups for my recruitment services, because I felt that is expensive for startup to exhaust their financial resources.
Right, they do have limited funds at the beginning.
Precisely.
When we say startups, what are we talking about? Companies that have been in operation for how long?
Less than 5 years.
Less than 5 years, huh? That's considered a startup.
To me, I consider that as startups.
Of course, there are other definitions. Some people say less than 2 years.
Yeah, precisely.
Okay, less than 5 years. Let's go with that.
Yeah. So along the way, I get inspired in that way.
What is so inspiring about the startup ecosystem? Because you said that several times.
Well,
but what is it?
I get a different vibes out of the whole thing when I actually work with these people. I talk to these people. There is always a paying it forward mentality. There's not so much about that is very different from the corporate world. In the point where founders, people in the startup world, they're always willing to share, they're always willing to help you make that connections without asking for anything in return. So
why do you think this is so?
Well, I really felt so in the way that I start to actually involve myself in a so-called informal startup club where we organize offline event. I help them as a volunteer. I started helping them as right from the second round of their SLAP event, and I think it's amazing when we get to meet a lot of people, and I really love what I'm experiencing. And over the months, I see myself soaking more and more time into the startup ecosystem.
Why do you think they have this pay it forward mentality that doesn't seem to exist in most other places?
Well, I haven't. It's always hard to actually see individual why they view it that way. But I guess they had a good perspective is actually where startups being new, they need to help each other so as to grow. They need to help each other both in connections, both in resources, both in every aspect. You know, so those we see people who are have that great spirit, paying it forward and willing to help each and every one of them. So when I was triggered with that point that I should help to contribute to the ecosystem from my background, I start to actually think of what I could do and what should I do, and the point is it just comes to me that I decided to actually start StartUpJobs Asia with the intentions not being a job portal.
Yeah, it is not a job portal.
Yes, many people ask us and just says that it is a job portal, but we are not a job portals. In fact, the job portal is just basically is a perceived features that we think that people would think that is much needed. But in fact, we advocate that we are not a job portals. In fact, what we want to do is more about how we sexify jobs as startups to the people, to the community, to the public in one angle.
What are the challenges that startups face when it comes to recruiting talent? Is it just a case of awareness? Because these companies are so new.
Yeah.
As a person going in to look for a job, you might feel like your risk level is very high if you start working for a company that is so new.
Precisely, you see the common perceptions that when a lot of when people look at a career with a startups, the first elements is about risk, the stability. You know, how much are you funded in one way? Are you able to sustain my salary for the next 6 months or 1 year? I've been asked throughout my angel investing period during the first 5 months plus. People ask me whether I can help them to look out for a PHP developer, Android developer, technical co-founder and things like that. I didn't actually make any offer on my recruitment services. It doesn't make sense because I comes in as an angel investor. To date, I have not actually even actively or proactively reaching out for them because I felt that this might actually give them a hurt on their financial resources. To me, 3 questions come to my mind back then. First, I will ask, are you guys funded? I would think in my mind that there are three areas. One of them is, are you guys funded? Second questions I ask myself is, are you able to actually pay the market salary, or at least 20-30% or even 50% market salary, and ensures that you have financial resources to sustain the person's payroll for the next 6 to 1 year. Because if you can't do so, you will hurt your reputation, you will hurt your company, you will hurt the whole startup ecosystem reputation as well.
That's right. Yeah. Because those are very valid concerns on the part of a job applicant. Yes.
So the third questions I ask myself, being a recruiter myself, I ask, is the ecosystem, is the populations around here ready? Are we pro-risk towards joining startup as a pioneer employee? Yeah. So
what is the situation like among Singaporean job seekers?
Well, I guess I see that the through the start of StartUpJobs Asia till date, probably less than 3 weeks of working days. I was quite surprised to see that there are in fact considerable number of individuals who are pro-risk to join startups in that angle, incomparable to what we have before started StartUpJobs Asia. So what we hope to do is actually to increase the percentage so that the more people who are willing to actually explore, perhaps not even engage, but at least start from exploration. We like to actually... What
is the typical profile of these people? I mean, are they fresh graduates or are they mid-career professionals or...?
Well, it's a mix. It's a mix. We see that if you talk about local populations, a good numbers are actually coming from fresh grads. But however, we do have job seekers who have actually some working experience. In fact, one of my colleagues actually just told me that his client, who is actually a HR manager, went on to join a startup, and she was actually from a corporate MNC. I was delighted to hear that, because I see that actually probably start to evolve the population, tuning the mindsets that, you know, jobs at startups can be sexy, but it's just about how we are going to actually move to actually make them more sexy and
more successful as well,
precisely.
Financially. I mean, this is one way of growing entrepreneurship in Singapore, is it not? To be able to support it through these means. We'll continue talking about this in just a moment with Ben Chew. He's the founder of StartUpJobs. Stay with us on 938 Live.
938 Live. 938 Live. Gets you talking.
Jaguar, the best-selling luxury diesel brand for the last 2 consecutive years, now brings you the new XF 2.2 diesel. Sleek, dynamic, daring. The new 200 PS XF 2.2 diesel with improved fuel consumption gets you more than 1,300 kilometers on a single tank. What's more, it qualifies for a $10,000 rebate under the new carbon emission scheme. The Jaguar XF 2.2 diesel. Let your drive take you further.
She's a special woman who's met personal challenges with unwavering determination. She's an inspirational figure who makes a positive difference to the lives of others. She's ordinary, yet she reminds us of our limitless potential.
She's my teacher, my friend, my colleague, my neighbor. The Singapore Woman Award 2013, organized by MediaCorp, salutes the ordinary woman who's made extraordinary achievements. Know of someone who inspires you and others with her determination, passion, and selflessness? Nominate her for the Singapore Woman Award. Log on to sinmsn.com/SWA for details. Closing date 8 February.
And now, the LTA traffic news.
6255-8400. That is our number. Give us a ring and keep us in touch with what's happening on the roads. We will pass on that information. Heavy right now on the PIE towards Changi Airport at Stevens Road exit. We have an accident on the ECP towards the city after KPE exit. A vehicle broken down on the PIE towards Changi Airport before Tampines Avenue 5. Heavy on the PIE towards Jurong between Eng Neo Avenue and Clementi Avenue 6. And on the SLE towards CTE between Lentor Avenue exit and TPE exit. Also a vehicle broken down right now on the KPE towards ECP after Nickel Highway exit.
The LTA traffic news is supported by King Coil. Protect your mattress and pillows from stains and unwanted moisture. Keep your sleep zone dry and free from mold and allergens with King Coil's trusted Protector Bed waterproof protector. Available at department stores island-wide.
938 Live. 938 Live gets you talking with The Breakfast Club.
Now, after getting seed or venture funding, one of a startup's first actions would be to hire people, and good people. However, we know that good talent is hard to come by, especially if you are running a new company. Getting the word out to the right people could be part of the solution, and that's where StartUpJobs comes in. Created by Ben Chew, he's an angel investor and entrepreneur. StartUpJobs is an online portal that aims to sexify startups, make them more attractive to potential job applicants. What are the unique HR challenges that startups face, and how can these be overcome? Ben joins me in the studio to tell me more this morning. Now, Ben, you mentioned earlier that one of the biggest hurdles that startups face when it comes to recruiting new staff is essentially a track record and a reputation as a company. So it's quite a high-risk move to move in and work for a startup if you are new to the market.
Yep.
Tell me about some of the other mistakes that startups might be making, some other challenges that they might have, and how they can overcome them.
Well, there will be areas of work that needs to be done in the areas of employer branding. We see in our job portals angle where most of the startups actually put logo up, and we saw that there are some who didn't even put their logo up. We wouldn't say that is a wrong mistake, but it probably will help them a little bit more when they put up their logo. Give them, let the job seekers see what they are made up of. A logo spells a lot about their business, about their startups.
What exactly does a logo do? I mean,
well, we believe that the logos actually signify, what the business and in what angle. A lot of business actually spend a lot of time and resources getting the right logo ready. And we believe that you need to have that. You probably need to actually let more people knows about your businesses, even your workplace, your team itself.
The more information about your company is on your website, the better it is.
Yes.
And on Startup Jobs, on that portal, we can actually see some of the information, right?
Well, right now, things are rather limited because we are only less than 3 weeks. But we are actually building up certain areas where we actually want to help them in employer branding. Things like perhaps having the founders to actually share about their business, their visions, their missions, and things like that.
And even their story. Yeah, those are the things that would really sell a company to a potential job applicant.
I mean, definitely. I mean, we would like to actually have, their pioneer employee to share about how they enjoy working with this company, and so that this will actually help them to attract more potential job seekers who are looking at their job descriptions. There are also other mistakes that many people, not necessarily founders, but it could be job seekers that actually also make mistakes. Is their social media presence. In where we do, we know that employer actually look at job seekers' social media presence,
what Facebook pages,
what they advocate, what they talk, and things like that. Likewise, a founder's reputations in the social media is also equally important, because that's where a job seekers who want to join you probably will do their due diligence to make sure that what kind of character you are, and that is also equally important in that way. So there are many other areas that is equally important and challenging for startups to look into.
Essentially, it's about looking at your presence and seeing whether or not it would be attractive to someone who doesn't know a lot about you yet. In a tight labor market, I think companies have to start selling themselves to job applicants if they want good talent. Yes. Thank you very much for joining me this morning, Ben. Ben Chew is founder of Startup Jobs, and of course, just Google Startup Jobs and you will be able to see it online as well. And just to be more specific, as Ben just whispered into the microphone, StartUpJobs.Asia, right? Thank you very much for joining me this morning.
938 Live.